Welcome everyone to this bonus session of the Guest Expert Incubator event week. I am so excited to be joined by a spectacular client of Interview Connections, Wendy Cole. Wendy, hello, how are you?
Hi, Jessica. I'm doing great.
I
Thank
am
you.
I'm just so excited to share your story because you have been such an A+ student. You got started with us over the summer, and just the momentum that I have seen you build and the results, the intentionality that you have with podcast hosts. So, to get started, introduce yourself to our audience here. Tell us about who you are, who you help, what you do.
Okay. Well, for most of my life, I've had this feeling of not belonging. And I haven't belonged to myself even most of my life. You see, I was born transgender. I transitioned in 2015, and 9 years later, I'm living in alignment with who I am. I've achieved self-awareness, self-acceptance, and for the first time in my life, I've even achieved self-love. I feel it's less about transitioning from someone I wasn't and more about correcting a condition that I was born with so I can fully be who I've always been. After all, I was never a man. You see, gender is between the ears, not the legs. How I dealt with this is not much different from any other life changes that everyone else faces. And facing most life change is 80% between the ears. So those are I help people who are in transition, and I actually help women who are facing life in corporate America, big changes. I help with imposter syndrome, returning to work after starting a family, those types of things, any kind of life change.
And one thing that you shared with me recently, which I thought was so profound, was that you know that your target audience, your ideal clients, they're in hiding. And the only way they're going to find you is if you are very visible. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Most of my ideal clients are very closeted, very hidden, and very insecure about revealing themselves, even to me. So, in order to overcome that, I found in 2022, video was my biggest and best tool. What I've encountered with podcast guesting is amazing. Um, I signed up with Jessica this summer. I think it was July 15th, one day after I moved into my new apartment. We
Yes.
met in person and I handed her a check. Probably, I think you said that was your first.
That was the first time I had signed up a client in person with a check. We had signed up clients, at conferences. They sign up online with their credit card, but I was like, all right, let's go. 10 years in business and I'm getting a check.
And I went through the onboarding process fairly slowly as I was getting adjusted to everything. But after my first podcast at the end of September, I was all in. This is amazing. I love talking with the hosts. I'm interacting with them before even meeting them, sending them more information, answering questions, asking them about their audience and what they're looking for. And if they have any questions as to how to have a conversation with me, because that's it. That's all this is it's a really good in-depth conversation where I give everything about myself. I put everything out there. The more visible I am, the more out there and open and candid I am. I even push the hosts to talk about things that they're pretty uncomfortable talking about. that's what it takes for me to reach, you know, prospective clients. And
Yeah.
also, my other goal in doing this was to educate as many people in society as possible. This is a very widely misunderstood topic, and there's just so much hate out there directed at people in this community. And I'm trying to do my very best to put information out there to help people change their perspectives, have some information. And podcast guesting has put my networking abilities on steroids.
Yeah, you're so brave because you really do always say you can ask me anything. There's
Right.
no question that's off limits, and that really takes something to be fully open to whatever questions people have to ask or whatever thoughts they have, and it's that courage and that bravery that helps people that are, in your target market that you can help feel
Right.
safe coming forward and contacting you and reaching out to you. So, can you talk a little bit about the wins that you've seen over the last however long it's been, 6 to 9
Sure.
months?
My first podcast host was Christine Blosdale. Lovely, wonderful woman. Love her. She was great. And, going into it, that was my first ever. And I was nervous, but then I just kind of settled in and I decided, okay, I know more about this subject than anybody else because I've lived it. I've got a PhD in life in this. So um, we had a wonderful interview. I joined a group of hers. And in that group, I introduced myself. She talked about her interview with me. And then Lynn Murphy, one of the people in the group, unmuted and said, Wendy, I need to talk with you. And Christine, and she talked a little bit about her podcast and her book that she's working on. We met in November. Oh, we met in October for a couple of conversations. We started recording because she wanted to record me for her book and also to be on her podcast. Well, it's evolved. We are doing a podcast series, collaborating on it and working on it together. It's going to be anywhere from 8 to 12 episodes. I've put it all out there. And in the process, Lynn, who knew very little about the LGBT world, wasn't she was a very liberal, warm, caring person, but didn't really understand that much about what was going on. In the process of doing this with me, she has become an ally. She's horrified by what people around her are saying and horrified by the laws and everything that politicians want to pass to try and legislate us out of existence. So that's been wonderful. And I've also recently connected with a person who oversees the PFLAG electronic newsletter that goes out to all over the state of Illinois. Wants an article from me. These are the things that happen from being highly visible in podcast guesting. It's far more than I would ever get out of social media on my own.
Yeah, absolutely. Because with social media, you are able to speak and be visible to your followers, to your friends, to your fans. But in order to get more people following you, you need to go be visible to in front of other people's audiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And from doing that, um, I did a podcast interview with a really lovely gentleman in California. The next thing I find as it aired, I'm getting an email from a person in Eugene, Oregon, saying, I've totally helped her understand who she really is. And she's moving forward. Um, I've gotten emails from, believe it or not, gay couple emailed me and spoke about how wonderful and caring and open my conversation was, how candid I was, and how much it has expanded their horizons. And they're always blown away by what they don't know about other parts of the LGBT world. So I'm
Yeah,
even educating other people within the community.
that's amazing. That's amazing. I love that you are out there, that you're visible, that you're being interviewed, that you are so courageously being open to any and all questions that people
Mhm.
have. You even have learned and are learning how to navigate, the haters and all that, because they are certainly there.
Oh,
And
they are.
I think one thing that I've learned, I think Brene Brown talks about it the most, is it's actually quite difficult to hate people close up, and so
Mhm.
once you really get to know somebody and come really close, I would guess that even the haters, if they really listened and got to know you,
Mhm.
it's very difficult. It would be much more difficult, but it's the unknown and it's the fact that they don't know you, they don't understand transgender people. That's what keeps the hate up. So the more you get close and the more you share, the more you break down the hate. It's so powerful.
Yes. I kind of discovered my standard phrase, which I would announce to when I first moved into my first apartment and started this. um, I decided I was going to be open with my neighbors completely. So the very first week or so I was there, there were flowers at my front door one night, and welcome to the neighborhood, Chad and Jason, number 15. Okay, well, they weren't home. I waited for them to come home. It was 9:15 or so on a Sunday evening. I went down and introduced myself, confirmed that yes, I wasn't cisgender, I was transitioning. And I gave them a little 2-minute statement or whatever that I used to explain myself. And then I followed that up with, I'm an open book. Ask me any questions you want, and absolutely nothing is off limits. And Jason said, you shouldn't have said that in front of Chad. And he did. He asked me all, we talked, three of us talked until like 3:30 in the morning. And I walked away mind blown. I thought gay guys, especially a gay couple next door to me, would understand all of this. That was my first exposure to find out that people in the gay community don't necessarily understand anything about the transgender community.
Mhm.
And they look at it from the outside and it just looks strange to them.
Right.
So that phrase of ask me anything you want and being totally open has removed so many barriers. In 2018, I was interviewed at Huffington Post, their Manhattan office. I had a 4-hour interview, photo shoot, the whole works. And I figured nobody's going to know. Wrong. I go back to Pennsylvania where I was living. I go back to my little job as a cashier in a supermarket, and people started coming through. Wendy, we saw your interview. You're amazing. I had no idea. So again, I'm open. Ask me anything you want. I'll meet you for coffee. We'll have drinks, whatever. I'll talk with you about anything. That approach and being open like that has been so wonderfully freeing, because I spent decades hiding. So one of the things that I was told by one of your other clients, Christina Woods,
Mhm.
uh, and she was absolutely right. Personal growth doing this is huge. My messaging is more refined. I have a clearer vision of what I'm doing and where I want to go. And this is just a wonderful platform on which to do it. Far more powerful than just what I was trying to do on social media, even with video on social media. Oh, and that's the other thing. This is way cool. Christine Blosdale ran a little session with me on how to make video clips from all the podcast videos that I have. And that I'm in the process of doing that, but I'm going to hit social media with all these clips.
I love
It's
that.
just going to go out, and I'm learning more things about the tech that I need to know. And I'm learning more about how to speak and present myself and getting more comfortable with it. I didn't start out comfortable. In 2022, it took me a month to make my first video for my YouTube channel. I couldn't sit in front of the camera and talk. It, it just didn't flow. But I got over that. I got past that. I started making videos. I started having fun with it. And it's been wonderful ever since. And this podcast guesting, I love the conversations I've had with the hosts, the interviews. Um, Generally speaking, very, very nice people, very supportive, very intelligent. And I found that even a lot of them learned a lot from me
Yeah, I'm
about this
sure.
subject. So,
Absolutely. That's so amazing. And I've seen you evolve so much with your messaging. I've had you come and speak in our masterclass multiple times, and each time the way you introduce yourself and what you do, I can see, I'm witnessing your messaging being honed in, how you introduce yourself, how you give that one-liner explanation of who you are and what you do. And, that's something that happens with practice. It's something that happens with practice and saying it over and over again and refinement and I love witnessing it with you. It's been pretty amazing.
thank you, Jessica. I really appreciate everything Interview Connections has done for me so far. And I look forward to a long relationship.
Yes, us too. Where can our viewers find you online if they want to connect with you? I know that you also support parents of
Oh,
transgender.
right.
So if you just want to share, like, who should reach out to you?
Okay. Anyone considering anything to do with transitioning? Um, Parents of transgender children. That's kind of something I really, really don't want other young people, teens, early 20s, to live life the way I had to. It is incredibly painful to hide. And so, as far as parents go, I can explain this whole world to them. And it also help them with what they need to do to preserve the relationship, embrace their child, no matter who they are. And then, of course, I love working with women who are facing life changes themselves. Everything that I've learned about managing my own thoughts, my own emotions, and everything that I need to do mentally between the ears, or it not only does it apply to transgender people, it applies to everyone. We all go through those things. We all have the little voice inside, and that's what I help with.
That's amazing. And so where can people find you online?
MeetWendyCole.com.
Perfect. Meetwendycole.com. And if you have not yet booked a call with me to talk about getting started with our Amplified Authority program, now's the time. Interviewconnections.com/call will take you to a short application, and then you'll be able to schedule a time on my calendar. Our discounts and bonuses for the incubator expire tomorrow at midnight. So go ahead, get yourself scheduled so we can feature you as our next success story. So thanks everyone for watching. Thank you for being here, Wendy.
Thank you, Jessica.